Good morning, watch nerds. Unusually, I'm going to start with a history lesson, but I'll keep it brief. Hamilton started life back in 1892 in Pennsylvania, USA. In 1974, they were acquired by what's now the Swatch Group, and therefore became Swiss-based. They've made many iconic watches, such as the Khaki King and the Ventura, as worn by Elvis Presley no less. And this is my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Hamilton Murph. But for true beauty, here's Amy. In 2014, Hamilton were asked to design a watch for a film called Interstellar, which happened to be a sci-fi. I've never seen it, but I don't like sci-fis. The watch later adopted the name Murph, after one of the characters, and it was a 42mm version on a strap. They started production 5 years later in 2019. As a result of high demand, Hamilton produced a more wearable 38mm version in 2022. In 2024, they produced a bracelet for the black version and also brought out a white version on a strap. The model you're looking at now is the 38mm black, and needless to say, it's on a bracelet. Now these aren't cheap, and I suppose in the world of watches they can't really be described as mega expensive either. On a strap, the full retail price is about £865 or $1,177, and you can add another £70 if you buy one on a bracelet. Of course, if you live in any other country but the UK, they're going to be cheaper, but what isn't? I bought this good used one from an eBay seller for not much more than half the price, and I believe I got a fair deal. In fact, I suspect if I look after this, I'll be able to recoup my money in the next few years, if needs be, I suppose. Just a tip, pay the right price for the right watch. It's like putting money in a low interest bank account, rather than just spending cash. Well, that's what I told the wife anyway. Just a quick wrist check. This is my watch of the day. It's the Christopher Wald C63 Sealander. The watch came in this rather sturdy box, accompanied by some instructions that nobody ever reads, and a 2-year warranty. As usual, let's start off with the dimensions. Now the case as mentioned is 38mm. The lug width is a convenient 20mm. The depth, including a double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating, albeit not enough AR coating, is a fraction over 11mm. And the lug to lug is a compact 44.7mm. Now once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at 121 grams. That's on this bracelet, of course. Now in my opinion, the watch wears the size. Allowing you to tell the time is the H10 automatic movement, which in reality is a dressed up Powermatic 80, which in reality is a modernised ETA 2824, which has been slowed down, thus giving it an enormous 80 hours of power reserve. It ticks away at 21,600 beats per hour, hacks hand winds. Although from personal experience the beat error on these movements can be a little bit high, they're normally very accurate, which is just as well because they can't be regulated by an enthusiast or even an average watchmaker. Now after wearing this for a few days, unbelievably it hasn't gained or lost a single second. But let's see what the time grapher thinks of it. And there we are, it all looks very healthy, a good rate, a good amplitude and a good beat error. The very nicely knolled 6.3mm push-pull crown is signed and it operates the movement as it should. And hand winding is so much nicer than the ETA 2824, that's the movement it's based on. Now the bracelet is good, but it's bad at the same time. It's very comfortable, it's nicely brushed. It tapers from 20mm down to 18mm, then back up to 20mm for the clasp. It's got solid male end links that fit well to the case, and it does have quick release spring bars, but they're very difficult to get to. My biggest gripe is for adjustment. It's got push pins, and at this price I don't think that's really acceptable. Now the clasp is okay. It would have been nicer if it was an on-the-fly adjustable version, but it's not. It's fully milled, it's got double pushers, 3 micro adjusts, signed, brushed, and it's got this nice polished chamfer. The case is simple but well executed. Now the fixed bezel is polished, but the tops of the lugs are circularly brushed and the sides are horizontally brushed. Like the majority of utility watches, there are no polish chamfers on the case itself. It is, however, very nicely shaped, and it moulds beautifully to the wrist. The exhibition case back is mineral crystal, which isn't any great issue, but at the same time, for a watch at this price, it is a bit disappointing. It screws down to aid the watch's claimed 100 metres of water resistance, and there's some basic information engraved around the sides. I'm really struggling with reflection here. Now the dial is classic, simple and uncomplicated, but at the same time it's attractive and it's kind of classy. Everything is painted on rather than applied. I can only describe the colour of the indices as a sort of a beige photina, if that makes sense. We start off with a minute track on the outside, then move into the indices, which are all numerals. I think part of the reason this watch is so successful is because Hamilton got that font spot on. Under the 12 o'clock it simply reads Hamilton, then above the 6 o'clock the words khaki and automatic. Now the cathedral hands and indices are painted with what I think is old radium superluminova. And whilst it isn't the longest lasting lume I've witnessed, we must remember this is a field watch, not a diver. Anyway, here's a picture of it. So what do I think of the Hamilton khaki Murph? Let's start off with the negatives because there are a few. I believe the crown could have been screwed down. It would have been nice if it had an on-the-fly adjustable clasp, but my biggest criticism is the bracelet's push pins. That's just inexcusable. Finally, the price. Okay, it's a mainstream brand and it's Swiss, but at the full price of £935 it doesn't really represent great value for money, well not in my books anyway. However, if you manage to pick up a good used one like I did, well that's a different matter. Now that's out of the way, let's talk positives. The bracelet and the clasp, despite my criticisms, are actually quite good. The case finishing is excellent, the movement very accurate with an impressive power reserve, and it's got a nice sapphire crystal. But most of all, it's one of the best looking field watches out there. So that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it please click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below and enjoy the rest of your day.